shocking in the book because the story is just so powerful. It's really a story about human resilience and ingenuity. It's also a story about friendship and love and family. We tend to think of family mainly as a biological concept, and it is that obviously,
Mhm.
but love can really create familial bonds even without the biological connection. And I think, we really see that in this story. It's really a poignant example of that. It's also a story that reminds us that food is so much more than what's on the plate. It's about history, it's about culture, it's about personal history and that web
Sure.
of connections that make, life so fulfilling and occasionally challenging too. I was shocked when that when Tung decided to go out on her own. That was sort of shocking to me. I just hadn't expected that. I mean, I knew the story was like leading that there had to be some kind of inflection point or something, but I didn't expect that to be it. I just thought she was going to walk away completely. So that was just something that still sticks with me. When I read that, it was just sort of blew my mind for a minute. But I think it also just another shocking moment was when uh the fact that Lynn found out, she never knew this true story about her father. Kathy really did become like a second mother to Lynn, and really inspired her to push herself in ways that maybe Tung, didn't for whatever reason. I mean, the mother daughter dynamic is very complicated. So I think Kathy was able to step in a way that, Tung couldn't. And, obviously Lynn really benefited from having both women in her life. All so different from each other, but they each, especially Lynn is a grown woman now, she was
Yeah.
a child to a young adult in the book, but they each excelled in their own area so completely. I mean, Tung is obviously a genius in the kitchen. It's just she was a born cook, a natural cook, and that's sort of a rare thing. A lot of people can be just to have that innate sense of food and how to combine flavors. And, she came to America and didn't even know American food and was already improving some of our most basic dishes, from, including macaroni and cheese. And, Kathy was really just the force in the front of the house, the restaurant. And obviously Lynn now achieved so much on her own in the business world. So editing the book, first of all, I have to applaud Alyssa being the
Yeah.
writer. I think she had the first, set of challenges in making sure each voice came through so clearly, and each person felt, equally represented, which is very tricky. I mean, obviously it's mostly Tung's story, but you can't tell her story without telling their story. So
Of
in a way,
course.
I felt like, Alyssa and those three women did a lot of the heavy lifting, and it was just my pleasure to step in and clean it all up, so to speak. But I really feel like they deserve most of the credit. It was really a pleasure for me to step to take what they had produced and just really shape it a little bit, massage it a little bit, clean it up a little bit. But 85% of it was already there. Been to Vietnam a couple of times, and which I did find helpful, because I really did understand that culture. um you know some of the nuances and things that I might not have gotten had I not spent time there. And um uh but I think I think one of the trickiest parts was, in order to really fully appreciate the story, we had to add in some more historical information, which wasn't there when I first got the manuscript. I felt like it was really important to, our this generation of readers, a lot of them might not know a lot of the details of what happened with the fall of Saigon and that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
that was sort of, well, I wouldn't say it was glossed over, but there were a lot of just details that weren't there, that I felt like we needed to present. I didn't want this to be a historical book by any means, but just to present some kind of factual framework for
Mhm.
the reader to, have in place, so that they could even understand more clearly what Tung went through and what it really meant to leave, her family behind, and how that all happened. There was a lot of personal anecdotes, but I felt like we needed a lot more just chronological details, like, okay, where are we in time now? And, what exactly, where are we with, how old is Lynn, and how long has the restaurant been running? And, all these little things that as an editor, you come at it from a different point of view. And I had to make sure that all those pieces were in place so that really by the time you got to the end of the book, it was very satisfying in, a practical way as well as a emotional way. What I think is wonderful about this book is it's not just this story about the American dream and, love and family and food, but the bonus is you're also getting these amazing recipes, some of which customers have been clamoring for years, and now they're finally being published and made available to people. And so I also made many of the recipes in the book, because it was hard to read the book and not be hungry. That was my biggest regret. I told them at the end, I'm like, I just am so mad that I never made it to your restaurant when I was in Miami. And, and now it's COVID and I can't even come down and share a meal with you in your kitchen. So it was really frustrating for me as someone who just loves to eat. For me to have those recipes, made available is just it's just a icing on the cake. You get this amazing story and then you get these incredibly delicious recipes on top. Some are a little bit more difficult than others, but like I made her squid salad, so simple, so delicious. Her barbecue pork with rice noodles, my whole family went crazy for those. And even my husband, who's a huge he, definitely leads with his stomach, said, this woman is a genius in the kitchen. The whole story is magical. I mean, the food is magical. The restaurant was magical. The relationships, there's just some magic going on there, which I think actually Michelle Bernstein, used that word in her forward for the book. I think anyone who reads this book, though, it's going to be hard to, we're all going to be banging on her door to reopen the restaurant. The reality is that when you do the math, I mean, I'm trying to remember now, I think they're both in their mid 70s at the least. That's getting up there to be on your feet, especially the way Tung likes to control her kitchen. She's really involved in every single thing that comes out of that, her space. So that's a lot for someone even, 50 or 60. So I mean, as much from a selfish point of view, I would love for them to reopen, on a practical level. I don't know how that's going to work. She could have done a traditional cookbook. I mean, she could have done the Hy Vong, Vietnamese cookbook. Well, Vietnamese, although she obviously did serve, like a bread pudding with vanilla sauce, which would be a dessert to, more American / Vietnamese dishes. But it's when you have these recipes in conjunction with these amazing stories, it just makes you appreciate everything so much more. Obviously, as an editor, by the end of the process, I felt like I knew them. But then when I saw the pictures, it just, it's the stories, the recipes, and the pictures is all just such a beautiful package. As an editor at magazines, for years, I've been involved with storytelling, and there's definitely storytelling in cookbooks, some text and head notes and that kind of thing, but I've never really worked on a memoir like this, and it actually sort of whet my appetite to do more because I really loved just getting in, really immersing myself in not, well, in this, it's unusual to have three people, but, immerse myself in someone's life to that degree and, really being part of the storytelling process. It was really satisfying. I love the fact that it's, it's all female driven. And to be honest, I think the entire team, myself, the three principals, of course, Elisa and their agent, and the editor, in-house editor, all women. So that was no offense, but I couldn't have asked for a better team to work with or better experience.